What's going on, baseball fans? How are we doing? So we continue on with the positional rankings. Man, oh man, this is a lot of rankings, but in this video, we're going to go over the shortstops. Let's get to it. Let's start off with Willie Adames. When he went to the Brewers last year, it completely changed the game, and it changed their lineup for the better. He ended up playing very well for the Brewers last year. Overall, he hit .262, 25 home runs, a .337 on base, a .481 slugging, a .119 WRC+, played some great defense, an 8.3 defense overall. But like I said, he got traded from the Rays to the Brewers, and with the Brewers, man, something just started working there, because with the Rays, through 41 games, he was hitting under 200. He had an on-base of .254, a slugging under .400. But when he went to the Brewers, his batting average went up to .285. He had a .366 on base, a .521 slugging, 20 home runs, 58 RBIs, played great defense. I mean, man, he was huge for the Brewers last year. They had one of the worst offenses. I believe at the time, before they got Adames, they had the worst offense. So he was definitely a jolt for the Milwaukee Brewers. Now, I don't think he is exactly an S tier. I do think he is an A. I think he's really solid. I mean, I would like for the on base to be a little better overall, the batting average to be better. You know, this guy's only 26 years old. Definitely with the Rays, that kind of, pulled him back a little bit. But if he could have a full season like he did with the Brewers, this guy is definitely S-tier material. With Nick Ahmed, you're going to get a great glove, but not too much of a bat. I mean, look at these numbers from last year. In 129 games, only hit .221, a .280 on base, a .339 slugging, 64 WRC+. The only saving grace for Nick Ahmed is the glove. He had a 5.5 defense last year. He will be very reliable out there. If we go take a look at the advanced numbers when it comes to his fielding, taking a look here, with defensive runs saved, he had 4 defensive runs saved last year. That's pretty solid overall. This is a guy back in 2019 had 16 defensive runs saved. In 2018, he had 28 defensive runs saved. So will he get back to that level? I don't think so. But because of the glove, I don't think he is quite an F. I will put him at a D. That bat, if they can get anything out of that bat, that's going to be just perfect for the Diamondbacks. They really need some offense. Ahmed, good glove, not really so much with the bat. Speaking of bats, let's talk about Tim Anderson. That's been the one thing about Tim Anderson is the bat, but the glove has not been very good. But last year, he actually turned it around a little bit with his defense. A 4.5 defense overall, while the bat continued to thrive. Over 123 games, hit .309, a .338 on base, a .469 slugging, a .120 WRC+, 17 home runs, 18 stolen bases as well. And with Tim Anderson, like I said, the glove really did pick up last year. If you go back to 2019, he had -6 defensive runs saved. 2017, he had -23. That is so bad. A -9.1 UZR in 2019, a -2.3 in 2020. So the fact that the glove did better last year overall, 3 defensive runs saved, that actually it matches a career high from his rookie season. The UZR is still in the negatives, but not as bad as it's been. With Tim Anderson, he's definitely going to be a bat-first shortstop, but it's nice to see that the glove is coming around. Because of, the gloves still coming around, I think there's definitely a lot more room to improve. And with the bat just being, flat out solid, I think he's an A tier. Now, if the glove, got even better this coming year, I think we could be talking S tier. But for now, we'll stick with an A. Kind of like Nick Ahmed, Elvis Andrus. He's going to give you a good glove, but not really too much of a bat. Playing for the Oakland A's last year, not really much going on here. 146 games, a .243 average, .294 on base, a .320 slugging, 72 WRC+, but good defense, a 6.0 defense. I mean, I don't know what the A's are even going to do this year. He's basically there just to fill the position at this point. Elvis Andrus, he has a good glove, so that's the saving grace for him. The bat was really bad last year, but at least he has a solid glove. I'll go a D for Elvis Andrus. Let's talk about the Tigers' newest shortstop, Javier Baez. was with the Cubs last year, ended up getting traded to the Mets. But the one thing with Javier Baez that has always kind of plagued him, getting on base, and he just strikes out a ton. But with the Mets last year, he seemed to have figured something out with getting on base and cutting down the strikeouts. If you see here, with the Cubs, he had a 36.3% K percentage, and then with the Mets, it went down to a 28.5. Still a bit high, but at least it went down. And also, take note of the on-base percentage. He had a 292 with the Cubs last year, and then it went up to a 371 with the Mets. Overall, Javier Baez had himself a pretty solid season, still hitting for a lot of power, 31 home runs. The on-base overall could get better. With the Mets, it was really good, so that'd be great if he could be, maybe go somewhere in the middle, maybe, 340, 350 on base. That would be amazing if he could do that. The slugging is always going to be pretty solid with Javier Baez, a 116 WRC+. And another thing with Javier Baez is this guy just provides solid defense year in and year out. I think Javier Baez is an A. I definitely want to see more consistent on-base numbers for me to consider him to be an S. But for right now, I'll go with an A. One of the most electric young players in the game, Bo Bichette. Bo Bichette, man. Being a Red Sox fan, I get scared when this guy comes up to the plate. And for good reason. Look at these numbers from last year. Played almost a full 162, just 3 games shy. Hit 298. 29 home runs, a 343 on base, a 484 slugging, a 122 WRC+. Overall, had a 4.9 wins above replacement. This guy's bat is incredible. The only thing that's still kind of holding him back a little bit is the glove. Let's go take a look at the numbers here. Overall, last year, he had 2 defensive runs saved, which, it's okay, I guess. You would like to see a little bit more. But the UZR was a negative 5.2. He's gonna get the job done out there. So for right now, Blue Jays fans, you might hate me for this one, but I'm gonna go A for Bo Bichette. I do think an S tier is in his future. I just want to see some more consistent numbers with the bat, and I just want to see a little bit more with the glove. And if he can do that, man, oh man, this guy, easy S tier. But for now, A tier. Xander Bogaerts on my Red Sox. This guy just continues to produce with the bat year in and year out. Taking a look at the numbers last year, another solid season at the plate. Hit 295, a very good 370 on base, a 493 slugging, a 130 WRC+, 23 homers, a 5.2 Fangraph WAR. But the one thing that I enjoyed about Xander Bogaerts last year was the defense got better. He's gotten a lot better at making the routine plays. Not going to have a bunch of range out there, but if the ball's near him, he's going to get the job done. He's going to make the play. And Bogaerts, he's had problems with that in the past. So it's nice to see that his defense is getting better. It was good back in 2019 and 2018. Alex Cora seems to have an effect on him because in 2020, his defense was kind of okay. It wasn't amazing, but you could tell there was a bit of a difference with Bogaerts. But I digress. With Bogaerts, this guy is one of the best shortstops in the game because every single year he is just producing with the bat. He has a career on base of 353, a career slugging of 459, and that's actually as low as it is because of his early years. If you take a look at the last few years, he's had a slugging right around, he had a slugging over 500 from 2018 to 2020. So last year just missed 500. This guy has just been getting it done with the bat. He's one of the best offensive shortstops in the game. He's doing enough on defense. He's getting the job done out there. I'm going S tier for Xander Bogaerts. I know we might be hearing, the bias birds, oh, Giraffe Neck Robbie. But hey, Xander Bogaerts, I think he's one of the best shortstops in the game. S tier. I am still feeling the effects of going live at around 2 in the morning from when Carlos Correa signed with the Twins. It is so weird that Carlos Correa is a Minnesota Twin. I still cannot believe it. But there's a reason this guy got the money that he did. A 3-year deal, over $100 million. That's a lot of AAV. And for good reason. Look at these numbers. Hit 279, a 366 on base, a 485 slugging, a 134 WRC+, 26 home runs. Fantastic defense out there. A 9.6 defense from last year. The only thing that was plaguing Correa for a little while was just being able to stay on the field. But last year, 148 games, shortened 2020 season. He played 58 out of the 60. It seems like he's been able to figure something out on how to stay on the field. I mean, this is a no-brainer. Carlos Correa is an S tier. That's why he got the money he got. Carlos Correa, easy S tier. Brandon Crawford last year, man, he had himself a year. Look at the year that he had. Good grief. 298, a 373 on base, a 522 slugging, a 139 WRC plus, 24 home runs, a 5.5 Fangraph WAR. Are you kidding me? Where do these numbers come from? This guy just exploded. He hasn't had a WAR that high since 2016. What the heck happened with Brandon Crawford? This guy just went off last year. Brandon Crawford, man, just overall really solid. One of the better bats at shortstop last year, one of the better defenders out there. The only thing I'm worrying about with Brandon Crawford, he's 35 years old. You know, how much longer is he going to keep doing this? I don't know. I definitely think there is a good chance that he can keep these numbers up. Let's go take a look at the advanced numbers with Brandon Crawford. Again, like I said, very solid defensively out there. But if we take a look here, if Fangraphs wants to load, Fangraphs, you are killing me right now. We are recording right now, Fangraphs. Here we go. Taking a look here, 6 defensive runs saved, a solid UZR of 2.6. I mean, this guy at 35 years old, the bat looks great. He still has a great glove out there. This might surprise some people. I'm going to go S tier for Brandon Crawford. I mean, this guy had a heck of a year last year. What else is there to say? Now, very easily he could fall down, but you know what? The season that he had last year, that sold me, man. I'm gonna go S tier, Brandon Crawford. I'm excited to see what he'll do this coming year. JP Crawford really took a step forward last year for the Mariners. Had himself a pretty solid year. Nothing, not breaking down any walls by any means, but a solid year. Hit 273, 338 on base. Not the best numbers, but pretty solid for the most part. The only thing with JP Crawford is the slugging, man. Only a 376 slugging. I'd like to see a little more power out of this guy, but the one thing that does really help him out is the glove. An 8.1 defense last year. Taking a look at the defense, he was really solid out there. And there were some rumors this past offseason. Well, hey, maybe they could trade JP Crawford. Maybe they could, move him. But the Mariners organization, they want this guy out at shortstop, and for good reason. So last year, 8 defensive runs saved. I mean, that's really solid. JP Crawford, the bat just needs to come around. The slugging percentage is really lacking, but he does get on base a decent amount, and the glove, very good. I'll go B for JP Crawford. I'm looking to see, man, can he take another step forward? Maybe go into the 4 wins above replacement next year. I think this Mariners team is going to be really good. JP Crawford's going to be at the center of it, but for him on this list, I'll go B. I am really excited to see what Oneil Cruz does this year. This guy is massive, man. This is basically Aaron Judge playing shortstop. He's a faster Aaron Judge. I do wonder, how much longer will he stay at short? I feel like I just see a right fielder. I just see Aaron Judge. This guy is just huge. But Oneil Cruz, there's a lot to be excited about with him. Overall, he actually did get sent down to the minor leagues. But I'm going to go with Oneil Cruz here. I just think he is going to be the guy eventually. So I know he won't, be with the Pirates on opening day, but I'm just going to go with him here just because, I mean, this is the guy that we're waiting for in Pittsburgh. So Oneil Cruz, let's just take a look at the scouting report. Not too much of a hit tool as of right now, 30, but it could potentially go up to a 40. Game power at a 40 right now, but it has the potential to be a 70. Look at the raw power. That's a max grade right there. That's as much raw power as you can get. This guy's going to hit tanks. He's very fast too. They're saying later down the road he's going to have a 45 speed, but right now he's at a 60. This guy's a freak of nature, man. Are you kidding me? He's almost, like 7 feet tall. He's got 80 power, and he's got a 60 speed. Good grief. What the heck is going on with this guy? Oneil Cruz, man. Taking a look at the numbers last year as well. Last year, he was with AA and AAA. Had really solid numbers. He had 18 stolen bases in AA. Overall, he had 17 home runs last year. In AAA, he played 6 games. They pretty much just said, all right, let's just get this guy up to the major leagues for a couple of games. Hit 524, a 655 on base. I mean, good grief. Are you kidding me? AA, he had 292 over those 62 games, a 346 on base. There's a lot to be excited about with Oneil Cruz. I'll go C for right now. That's kind of just where I've been putting all of these, higher prospects so far in these positional rankings. I think he's going to be really good. I'm excited for him. Oneil Cruz, we're going to see you soon. For here, you're going to be at a C. What the heck happened to Paul DeJong's bat? I don't get it. This guy only hit 197 last year, a 284 on base, a 390 slugging. He did have 19 home runs, so I'll give him that. But this is a guy, you know, I mean, he's never really had a great bat to begin with. You know, maybe 2017 over 108 games, he hit 285 with a 325 on base. Those 25 home runs look pretty good. He had 30 home runs in 2019. But, you know, he's never really had the best on-base numbers. So, in a way, it's not too far off from what he's been doing. But, I mean, I don't know. This is pretty low. 197 batting average, 284 on base. But with Paul DeJong, you're going to get great defense. A 9.1 defense overall. Let's take a look at the defensive runs saved. While, yes, the batting average, the on-base, they are down. But you can count on this guy to make the plays out there. 6 defensive runs saved last year. He had a 4.6 UZR. He had 24 defensive runs saved in 2019. Oh, my goodness. But Paul DeJong, we got to get this bat going again. You know, the power is still there. I still think he's just working through some things right now. Paul DeJong, he's got the power. I mean, if he can get the average back up a few points, get on base a little bit more, that's really going to help out this Cardinals lineup. For right now with DeJong, I'm going to go C. Those offensive numbers, they've really fallen off. So looking to see what he can do in 2022. For right now, I'll stick with a C. No more Trey Turner with the Nationals, so we have Alcides Escobar. With Escobar last year, I mean, not a bad year by any means. He hit 288, a 340 on base, 4 home runs, a 404 slugging, a 100 WRC plus over 75 games. You know, he's going to be okay out there with the glove. He had a 3.0 defense. I mean, the only thing is that he's 35 years old. I mean, how much more are you going to get out of him? They're projecting his batting average to be a lot lower next year. They're projecting his on base to be under 300, his slugging to be under 400. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to get out of him. I mean, if he can just play a good enough defense out there, I think the Nationals would love that. But with Escobar, I mean, he had decent numbers last year, over 75 games. I won't quite go F, but I'll go D for right now. I just don't see, you know, how much more of a ceiling he has at this point. I don't know. But for here, I'll go D. Isaiah Keiner Falefa, the newest Yankee shortstop. Now, the Yankees really needed to do something about the shortstop position. Gleyber Torres was not working out. The glove was terrible. They needed someone to bring a good glove and maybe even some speed as well. Keiner Falefa checks off both boxes. If we take a look at the numbers last year, an 8.1 defense and a 4.2 base running, he is going to be really good for the Yankees. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be, you know, an MVP kind of a player, but for the Yankees, he's going to make them a better team just because of the glove and the speed that he brings to the table. Also had 20 stolen bases last year. I mean, with the bat itself, he's not really going to give you much, but this is a guy who's going to make some contact. He had a 271 average. He got on base a little bit, a 312 on base. You know, nothing going on really with the slugging. You're not really thinking of the bat with Keiner Falefa, but that's what I don't think that's what the Yankees need. I don't think they need a guy that's going to go out there and hit 30, 40 home runs. This is what they needed. They needed some speed, and they needed a glove. And the other thing about Keiner Falefa, too, if they needed him to, if Donaldson does go down, he can shift over to third. If I don't know if they would go that route, but at least he has that versatility. But Keiner Falefa, I like him a lot. I like the fit more than the player. I do like the player, but I like the fit with the Yankees. I mean, overall, with Keiner Falefa, I'll go a B. Because I think he brings different tools to the table. He's not, you know, he's not going to give you a big bat. But I love the speed. I love the glove. It just, the fit with the Yankees, it just works. With me, I'm going to go B for Keiner Falefa. On to Kyle Farmer on the Cincinnati Reds. With Kyle Farmer, he's not going to be the worst out there. He's going to give you some things overall. He hit 263 last year, a 316 on base. A little over a 400 slugging, 16 home runs, not too bad. A good defense of 6.2. I mean, he's not going to be giving you a whole lot. He's just going to be, you know, a decent player out there. With Kyle Farmer, he doesn't excite me too much. I'll go D. I definitely don't think he's an F by any means, but I just don't think he's really giving you all that much out there. Would be nice, you know, the Reds, hey, losing Nick Castellanos, they could use all the offense they can get. Let's see, maybe he can take a step forward this coming year for the Reds, but for here, I'm going to go D. Let's talk about a guy that played mostly second base last year, but he's going to be sliding over to short with the Angels. David Fletcher. David Fletcher, interesting year last year, up and down. He was ice cold at times, but then he was red hot at one point, had a 26-game hitting streak. That ranks near the top in Angels franchise history. But with David Fletcher, after that, he kind of went cold again, and then towards the end of the season, he started hitting a little bit more. But Fletcher, very up and down. You know, considering the years that he had prior, hit 319 in 2020, 290 in 2019, 275 in 2018. Good on base numbers in both 2019 and 20. You know, David Fletcher, I think just last year, just did not have it all together. He's never going to give you a lot of slugging. He's more of a contact kind of a guy. But I don't think that's a bad thing. Fletcher, he's been very good at just making contact and getting on base. He's also going to give you versatility, a solid glove. Baseball Savant likes his defense more than Fangraphs. So, I think Angels fans would agree that David Fletcher is going to give you a good glove. I think with David Fletcher, you know, I don't think he's an A. I think he's a really solid player. I want to see what he can do at shortstop full time. For right now, David Fletcher, I'm going to go C. I could definitely see an argument for B based off of his prior years. I could even see maybe people thought his season was so up and down last year that maybe it should be a D. But I'll go C. I'll go in the middle. I don't think he's an A. But I'd like to see Angels fans. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Where do you think he should be? B, C, D? Do you think he should be an A? Let me know what you think. But for me, I'm going to go C. Let's talk about the former #1 prospect, Wander Franco. I'm just going to get this out of the way right now. I'm going to put him at an A. I could see a lot of people being like, what? You're not going to put him at an S? Listen, I'm not ready to put him at an S just yet. But man, this guy is going to be special. Where the heck are my Wander Franco numbers? Did I click out of them? I clicked out of them. I am so sorry. But Wander Franco, taking a look here, very good numbers last year through 70 games. Hit 288, 347 on base, 463 slugging, 7 home runs. This is a guy, he has a future hit tool of 80, a future power tool of in games at 60. I mean, a 60 speed, 55 field in the future. This guy is going to be a really special player. I remember watching him last year, regular season and the playoffs. I just felt like I was watching a veteran guy out there. It seemed like he had been doing this his whole life. But Wander Franco, man, just signed a big contract this past offseason. I think that's going to make him feel a little more relaxed, focus a little more on just playing some baseball. As a baseball fan, I am excited to see what Wander Franco can do. As a Red Sox fan, I am not excited about it at all. But I'm going to go A for Franco. Definitely possible by the end of the year he's going to be an S. But for now, I'm going to stick it an A. What the heck happened with Didi Gregorius last year? These numbers are atrocious. Only hit 209, had a 270 on base, a 370 slugging. He was definitely going through some injuries last year. Only played 103 games. 68 WRC plus. Man, this bat just plummeted. Still played solid defense out there, but man, you're going to need some more offensive production. 13 home runs are okay, but I mean, come on. This is a guy that was with the Yankees hitting 20 plus home runs from 2016 to 2018. Those on base numbers, they've really gone down. 2019, he was playing through some injuries, but 2020, he was doing really good. Hit 284, 339 on base. This is going to be a big year for Didi. You got Bryson Stott waiting in the wings. They've already told Didi that shortstop job is not guaranteed. Could it be sooner rather than later that we see Bryson Stott end up taking the position? I guess there's some talk of maybe Stott playing third. We'll have to wait and see whatever happens with Bohm. I don't know, but Didi, this is going to be a big year for him. He's going to have to pick it up with the bat. For Didi right now, I got to go D. I don't think he's an F. I still think there's a good player there, but he's got to show it here in 2022. For here, I'm going D. Jose Iglesias is such a confusing player to me. I never understood Jose Iglesias. There's years where this guy just puts up some really good offensive numbers, and then there's some years where his defense just completely plummets like it did last year. We'll talk about that in a second, but let's talk about the bat. Last year, hit 271, 309 on base, 391 slugging. Those are kind of the numbers that you expect with Jose Iglesias, but look at his numbers in 2020. 40 games. This guy hit 373 with a 400 on base and a 556 slugging. What the heck? A 160 WRC plus. What the heck was going on with Jose Iglesias then? My goodness, that guy was eating his Wheaties for breakfast. Even in 2019, he was hitting 288. You know, he's never really had a lot of power, but you know, he's always been probably anywhere from like a 5 to a 10 home run kind of a guy. But the glove is always the talking point with Jose Iglesias. This guy is just a magician out there. But last year, what the heck happened with his glove? Negative 22 defensive runs saved, a negative 6.1 UZR. What is going on? He did talk about how with the Angels, he didn't feel very motivated out there. They weren't winning, so he was really just kind of, you know, letting it go with the glove. When he came to the Red Sox, he was playing some good defense over, you know, the few games that he did play with the Red Sox. So I do expect the defense to get better. With Colorado, I mean, hey, I think Colorado could be a sneaky team this year. I don't think they're going to be an amazing team, but I think they could make maybe a little bit of noise out there. Jose Iglesias, it would be nice for them if you know, could get that bat going. Maybe Coors Field could end up helping him out. Maybe get 15, 20 home runs. Maybe help him out a little bit there. But the glove definitely has to get better. Has to get back to what it was before. With Iglesias, I'll go D for right now. I still think there's a good player there. So he's very close to maybe moving down to an F. We'll have to wait and see. But for now, I'm going to stick with the D. Let's talk about another confusing one, Francisco Lindor. I still think he is one of the best shortstops in the game. However, last year, he had a bomber of a year. Only hit 230, a 322 on base, a 412 slugging. He had 20 home runs. That's not bad. 63 RBIs. Still had good defense out there, but these are not usual Francisco Lindor numbers. He was getting mixed up at the plate. The exit velocity was still there, so I definitely think the bat is going to get better, but he was getting mixed up, you know, pitch selection, recognition, you know, mechanics getting a little out of whack last year. Francisco Lindor, you know, also had the big contract or received the big contract in the offseason, so maybe a little too much pressure on him, but I think he's going to be better this coming year. The projections say so as well. They're projecting him to hit 258, 333 on base, a 467 slugging, 29 homers, a 118 WRC plus, still projecting good defense, around a 5-win player. And I think Mets fans would be extremely happy if Francisco Lindor was a 5-win player. Now, with Francisco Lindor, I'm still going to keep him at an S tier. I'm not ready to drop him down just yet, but if he has another bad year, I definitely think he can fall down. But for now, I'm going to keep him at the S tier. Jorge Mateo of the Baltimore Orioles. I mean, with the Orioles, there's not a whole lot going on. And with Jorge Mateo as well, not a whole lot going on either. Only hit 247 last year over 89 games, a 293 on base, a 376 slugging, 4 homers. This is not a lot here. You know, nothing great with the defense. I mean, I think we got to put him at the F, our first F in this video. There's just nothing going on. And Jorge Mateo, I don't know, could he take a step forward this year? We'll have to wait and see. But for now, I'm going F. Let's go to the Royals and talk about Alberto Montecy. You know, with Montecy, I don't know, there's just not a whole lot going on here. 35 games. He was definitely having some injuries last year. Only 6 home runs, a 230 average, a 271 on base. His slugging was actually okay, a 452. But WRC plus was a 91. You know, he's always been more of a speed kind of a guy. Back in 2019, he had 43 stolen bases. He actually played some good defense that year, 13.3. You know, but in the last couple of years, you know, he's just not really done all that much. He's had some stolen bases. That's nice. But I don't know. I'm just not really seeing a whole lot here with Montecy. So I'm going to have to go back-to-back Fs here. With Carlos Correa heading to the Twins, Jeremy Pena is looking like he's going to be the next man up. And you know what? I don't think that's too much of a bad thing. Jeremy Pena, very solid prospect. Just not a lot of people have really heard too much about it, because when you think of the Astros and shortstop, you think Carlos Correa. But Jeremy Pena, he's been having some pretty decent numbers in the minor leagues. He's projected for some okay numbers next year. 250 average, a 304 on base, 19 homers. But with Jeremy Pena, you're going to get a very good glove. Taking a look at the field tool on Fangraphs, they give him a 60 already. They think the hit tool could be up to a 50. They give him a little bit of power, not too much, but they think he's going to be much better in the field and with his speed. But if you look at the numbers in the minors last year, in 30 games, he hit 10 home runs, he hit 287, a 346 on base, a 598 slugging. We'll have to wait and see if that translates to Major League pitching. But I do like the glove with Jeremy Pena. I think he's going to be really solid out there, and it looks like the power, the offense is starting to come around, at least in the minors. So we're going to have to wait and see. Only 23, 24 years old, Jeremy Pena. I think he's a solid prospect. I'll go C for right now. I don't think he's the caliber of an O'Neal Cruz, but I think, this is a guy who's going to provide good defense out there, and who knows, maybe the offense can come around too. But I'll go C for Jeremy Pena. On to Miguel Rojas on the Marlins. I think Miguel Rojas is a pretty underrated player. I mean, he's not going to give you anything flashy at the plate. He's just going to be a really good, solid player. Hit 265 last year, 322 on base, slugging under 400, only 9 home runs. So he definitely could get better there. He's 33 years old, so who knows how much more he can improve. But 2020, he actually looked pretty good in a shortened season over 40 games. Hit 304, 392 on base, a 496 slugging. Those are really solid numbers. He was definitely on track for at least a 3-win season if you played a full season. 2019, he was pretty good there too. Hit 284, 331 on base. It's just always been the power numbers with him, the slugging. He's never really been too much of a power guy, but he is going to give you a good glove out there. He's going to get on base at an okay rate. With Miguel Rojas, I think he's solid. I just don't think he's anything great by any means. With him, I'm going to go C for Miguel Rojas. I think there's an argument maybe for a B. Let me know what you think in the chat or in the comments down below. But I'll go C for Miguel Rojas. Ahmed Rosario on the Guardians, not the Indians. But Ahmed Rosario, not a bad season last year. Hit 282, that's pretty good. 321 on base, pretty solid. 11 home runs. 99 WRC+, you want that to come up. The slugging, only 409, you want that to come up. But he will play some good defense out there. He's just going to be a pretty solid player for the most part. He'll give you some speed, 13 stolen bases, 57 RBIs last year. With Rosario, I kind of like Rojas. Like nothing amazingly special. The one thing Rosario does have going for him is he is only 26 years old, while Miguel Rojas, is in his 30s now. With Rosario, they're not really projecting too much of a difference from his 2021 season. We'll have to wait and see if he can beat those numbers. But with Rosario, I'm just going to go C for right now. I think he's solid, but I just don't think he's going to give you a whole ton out there. Corey Seager just became a rich man this past offseason, signing with the Texas Rangers for $325 million. Not too bad if you ask me. But Corey Seager, definitely one of the better shortstops in the game. Last year, another very good season. He did miss some time. That is one thing with Corey Seager. He tends to, he gets the injury bug here and there. He had a broken bone a couple years ago, needed to get Tommy John at one point. But with Corey Seager, this is a guy, he's just going to be really good at the plate. Back-to-back years now, he's hit over 300, almost at a 400 on base last year. Back-to-back years of having over a 500 slugging. He almost had a 600 slugging in 2022, or in 2020, sorry. But his WRC plus numbers have been fantastic the last couple of seasons. He's really just come into his own offensively. He's shown before how good he can be offensively, but then there were a couple of years where he was going through some injuries and whatnot. The bat was a little down in 2019, but the last couple of years, man oh man, has he picked it up. He was a huge get for the Rangers. Corey Seager on Baseball Savant. He's going to have a lot of reds here, especially when it comes to exit velocity. And actually, speaking of exit velocity, if you take a look at shortstops last year, he ranked second overall in hard hit percentage at 41%, only behind Fernando Tatis Jr. I mean, not much else to say. Corey Seager, I think he's one of the best shortstops in the game. I'm going to go S tier. Cubs fans all around the world wanted Carlos Correa to come to Chicago, and they got a shortstop, but it was Andrelton Simmons. Andrelton Simmons. Hey, man, this guy's glove has just been fantastic in his career. Some of the best defensive numbers of all time. However, the last couple of years, his defense hasn't really looked the same. And with Simmons, you're just really not getting anything with the bat. In 2020, 30 games, he almost hit 300, so take note of that. But last year, only hit 223 over 131 games, under a 300 on base, under a 300 slugging. That is just awful. But with Simmons, he's going to give you a very stable glove. You do not have to worry about the shortstop position if you're a pitcher for the Cubs. Marcus Stroman's going to love having him back there. But with Simmons, I'm just going to go D. The bat is just so bad, but the glove is still pretty solid, enough to where it can push him up to a D. But with Simmons, no bat, a lot of glove, I'll go D. Coming off of a World Series championship, Dansby Swanson had himself a pretty solid year for the most part last year. 27 home runs looked pretty good. Average at 248. On base could be better, but he had a decent slugging of 449. The WRC plus could be a bit higher though. But with Dansby Swanson, an 8.1 defense last year. So overall, he's still one of the more solid shortstops in the game. He was a big part of that Braves team last year. He's going to be a free agent soon, so he's going to have himself a good year if he wants to get that payday. But last year, he played all 160 games as well, so he is a durable player for the most part. He has missed some time before, but nothing too alarming by any means. But with Dansby Swanson, they're projecting him kind of around the same numbers, a little lower on the slugging, a little lower on the home runs, but hey, we'll have to wait and see. Let's see if Dansby Swanson can pick up the pace. He set a career high in home runs. Could he maybe break 30 next year? We'll have to wait and see. I would like for his on-base numbers to get back to what they were in 2020. But he's never really been too much of an on-base guy in his career. So we'll have to wait and see what you get out of Swanson. But I do think the glove, he gives you a pretty good amount with the bat. I'm going to go A for Dansby Swanson. I think he's just really solid. And hey, just won a World Series. Fernando Tatis Jr. Yes, I know he's not going to be starting the season with the Padres on the IL, having to get surgery on his wrist, I guess from a motorcycle accident. Fernando Tatis Jr. Yes, I know he won't be starting the season with the Padres. He's on the IL, just got surgery on his wrist, I guess from a motorcycle accident. My goodness, Fernando Tatis Jr., please stay off the motorcycles, my friend. You were already kind of made of glass to begin with. Why are you on a motorcycle? Good grief, my friend. But Fernando Tatis Jr., man, what else is there to say? This guy's bat is incredible. 130 games last year, 42 homers, a 282 average, a 364 on base, a 611 slugging. I mean, come on. I mean, this guy is just nuts. He ranked second last year among shortstops in wins above replacement, only behind Trey Turner. The bat is special. He's a special player. The one thing with Fernando Tatis Jr., though, as well as the health, is the defense. Negative 5.3 defense last year. If we take a look at the advanced numbers, negative 6 defensive runs saved, a negative 7.5 UZR. They actually moved him out to right field at one point, as well as center field. So the defense is going to have to improve, but this guy's bat, it kind of reminds me of, talking about Devers in my third baseman video, where the defense is just terrible, but the bat is just so good to where it just vaults him to an S. The bat's incredible. I think over time, he's going to get better defensively where he'll at least get the job done out there. But I don't see how else you go anywhere else but an S tier for Fernando Tatis Jr. Just please stay off the motorcycles. And last but not least, Trey Turner. We just looked at the leaderboards from last year. Like I said, Trey Turner was the #1 overall shortstop last year. He did play some second base after going to the Dodgers because the Dodgers had Corey Seager, but Trey Turner, with Corey Seager going to the Rangers, Trey Turner is now firmly their shortstop. And hey, how could you be mad at that? This guy is just incredible. Last year, a 328 average, a 375 on base, a 142 WRC plus, 28 home runs. He stole 32 bases last year. Are you kidding me? This guy is just all around such a good player. And the fact that the power started coming more into play, I mean, he's just an all-around amazing player. What else is there to say? I'm waiting to see. Will the Dodgers give him a big contract extension? If they don't and he hits the open market, we easily have another $300 million player. Only time will tell what Trey Turner will end up doing. But for this, we're going S tier, easy S tier, and easy finish to the rankings for shortstops. So those are my rankings for shortstops. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Was I too high on some of them, too low, just about right? Let me know what you think down below. But that's all I have for right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.